Andor is the newest Star Wars series on Disney Plus. It stars Diego Luna as Cassian Andor, a rebel spy fighting against the Galactic Empire through missions of espionage set 5 years before the events of Rogue One and New Hope. For the premiere, Disney released Freehaul episodes this Wednesday. The last time they did this, it was the 2-episode premiere of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I reviewed that series a few months ago and thought it was alright, in most places, and as a whole. Aside from Mandalorian and The Bad Batch, not a lot of new Disney stuff involving Star Wars has been too great, especially after the sequel trilogy, so I was a bit worried about Andor and how it worked as a concept, seeing how he is kind of a small character in terms of, how liked he is and how well done he was in his respective movie. But thankfully I was proven wrong. What I already loved about the initial concept based on the trailer was how it was going to be a little different from a lot of Star Wars stuff. Sure, there was a bit of spy type of things, a lot of sneaking around in Rogue One and a few other Star Wars projects like that. But I think this is the first time we really are going to get into that, because from the trailers, Andor is clearly disguised and sneaking around, Imperial fortresses and such. And this free episode premiere is before that. This is clearly just the beginning of Andor's story before Rogue One. Episode 1 begins with Andor walking around mysteriously in the rain on this random planet. I really need to keep track of the planet names in this series and most Star Wars stuff that I review, because it's going to get a lot confusing if I just say some planet. But it is raining, so at least it's not really Tatooine, thank God. And Andor's wearing a hoodie, which makes him extra mysterious. He walks into a bar that almost is also like a strip club, but as close away as possible to that, because this is still trying to be family friendly. So yeah. But Andor seems to be looking for someone as he's talking to the bar's owner, and a couple guys are a little annoyed by Andor being like, hey, we were here first, and just being ignored. And when Andor doesn't get what he's looking for, he walks off kind of in some alleyways, and then he is stopped by these two men holding him at blaster point, and Andor tries to talk him out of it by bartering with credits, and when he has the opportunity, he gets the jump on them, knocks them down, and ends up actually killing one of them just by I think pushing them really hard, or like snapping their neck when not knowing. And the other guy is very horrified by this and is just like, please don't kill me. And Andor clearly sees no reason to let him live and just shoots him in the face. So this is definitely not like Luke Skywalker. Well, maybe it's Luke Skywalker from the sequels, because he was a bit more, I guess, murder happy, at least in that one scene. The next day, still on this planet, Andor returns to his home, I guess, where he is met with a personal droid, who we later see is also sort of a personal droid for his mother. And the droid's kind of asking, hey, where were you? What's with those scars, those cuts or whatever? And Andor's just like, yeah, just fell, And the robot and probably a few other people who ask, no, that's probably bullshit. A bit later, he goes to, I think, this sort of garage place where they're, fixing cars, well, instead of cars, ships and all that. A little bit like the place in The Mandalorian that he goes to on Tatooine to get his ship fixed at one point. And Andor's talking to this one lady who's working on something and needs her to give information to some secret contact that he's sort of been compromised and needs to get off the planet. And she more so just says she'll think about it because she's not always trusting him and knows that he's got into some deep shit. Then in between some of these scenes, we get to meet, I guess, a galactic cop. He's like this young cop who's talking with his boss about the two guys at the bar who were killed and found later, and he thinks that he should investigate it while his boss is saying, you know, they probably were into some shady stuff, just leave it alone. But this young cop doesn't leave it alone, and he wants some of his people to, you know, investigate further any little details involving the whole thing. And making matters worse, the I guess garage lady from earlier, her husband, you know, is a little suspicious about, you know, her talking to Andor and is wondering what's going on. And while she's like out doing a little something, he goes under her computer and finds details about Andor, but it doesn't explicitly say that it's Andor. So this husband guy decides to put out, you know, something, some sort of tip to the police about the suspicious guy who has similar, you know, ancestry to Andor, because in all of these episodes there's like a little bit in the plot that mentions that Andor is from a specific planet, because in a bunch of flashbacks that I'll discuss more of, Andor used to be in some sort of kid tribe as a child on this planet, and he had a sister as well, so he's looking for her, and that's kind of what he was doing in the bar earlier. Long story short, the cops are now more after him, especially after they go into the records and actually find a whole report record on Andor. And this cop guy's like, okay, I think this is our man, let's go after him. And then they take a ship to the planet, because they're far away, obviously, and they're gonna go arrest him. A bit after this, Andor picked out a specific ship part that he wants to barter with someone to get some credits to get out off the planet, because he knows shit's going down. So he meets up with a guy who he hasn't seen, and when he meets him, he's a little suspicious. But it turns out that not only was this guy kind of here to, you know, barter for credits with the ship piece, but he also turns out to be a rebel played by Dylan Skarsgård. I think it's Stellan Skarsgård. Yeah, one of the Skarsgårds, the older one. And, you know, he's all like trying to figure out if Andor himself is an Imperial spy. And while they're, you know, talking and stuff, they realize that they're being pursued by the space police. I'm just going to call them the space police because that's more fun. And while they're trying to find a way to escape from like this factory room they're in to make this deal, the space police are just trying to find Andor. They're being kind of rough with the people, so they're really mean, but I guess it doesn't go the full route of police brutality, but it gets pretty damn close in certain scenarios, like when one of the space police catches garage lady kind of running away a bit because she wants to help Andor. They like pin her down and handcuff her to some random pipe in the wall in a nearby city wall. And the husband, decides to try and help her because, he's her husband, and he feels a little guilty because he gave away Andor's location that started all this shit. But he ends up getting shot by some kind of rookie cop with a blaster, and the other cop's just like, hey, that was really stupid, hand me your blaster. And then they just leave, like, oh, sorry for the inconvenience, lady, sorry your husband's dead. And then there's, that, and then after that, Andor and Skarsgård, I'm just going to call him Skarsgård until I actually know his name, they both escape after a bit of a shootout with one of the cops. They sort of fake the cops out by sort of driving out a driving out a speeder that's, not being driven, and they shoot at it, they think they've got them, and then immediately Andor and Skarsgård get away on a speeder bike, and this whole sort of explosion, and an added explosion to the normal speeder, blows away a few cops and kind of messes up the lead young cop who started this whole thing, and clearly he is just going to go out for vengeance for Andor. That's what I'm guessing is going to happen in the later episodes. He's just going to go right after him, and he's going to get a little crazy here and there. So the two of them get away on a ship that Skarsgård had hidden in some forestry, and then they just jump it out of there, and that's mostly the main plot of episodes 1 through 3. As I said before, I'd get more into the flashbacks involving Andor's childhood, and he's like a child tribal member. It's a little confusing. Maybe I just didn't understand it, but it just seemed like a whole tribe of kids, like it was Neverland or something. Maybe they have one adult every now and then, and that's how they live on, but I do not know at all. But yeah, they're just walking around doing their stuff, and then they spot a ship falling from the sky. It's clearly about to crash. It does crash, and then most of them go looking for it. And Andor, even though he's pretty young by their standards, I guess, he still goes out with them, leaving his sister behind. And that's like the last we see of her, and apparently Andor was looking for her in the present day plot, so who knows what that will lead to. But they go to the ship. The passengers are like, I guess, infected with something, I'm not sure, because there's like a gas coming out of the ship, but that could just be something else. Nonetheless, one of the people who was thought to be dead, gets up and shoots the leader, and then the other kids, start blowing darts at this guy until he's, I guess, dead. The other kids, take the leader away to either be healed or buried, maybe, I'm not sure. And Andor decides to explore the ship. And when he goes in there, everyone is still dead, so there's no, surprises in store for him. But he's, in this computer room, and he sees his reflection, and because they clearly don't have any mirrors or anything like that, this is, the first time he sees his face. And I guess he doesn't like it because he starts smashing all the computers and stuff. And during this, two, I guess, ship raiders or scoundrels, whatever Han Solo is, and they spot the kid and the lead scoundrel, who is actually the mother in the present day plot. like knocks the kid out with some sleeping gas and takes him with her, because why not, I guess. And she from then on raised him as her own, I guess. So not biological mother, just adopted mother. So there's that. And at the very end of the last episode, it like cuts between Andor and Skarsgård leaving on their ship, and Andor's like looking out at the sun, cutting to Andor as a child, also looking out at the sun for the first time while on the ship, and then also cutting to the adoptive mother being sad that her son is basically just gone for probably a long time. Who knows if they'll see each other again. And that was episodes 1 for free of Andor, and I quite like them. It is a little sad that, you know, all of these episodes are basically just one big episode in a way, but I'm glad they didn't do what She-Hulk did and just release the first episode only, even though it feels like it's supposed to be one little part of something bigger, but oh well, I guess. According to what I looked up, after this, there's going to be like another 21 episodes of season 1, I think. That might be wrong, but who knows. It is crazy because they've already announced that season 2 is going to happen, which is pretty crazy. I've never really seen a show that already has their next season greenlit before the first season comes out. And it's not like Netflix where they have every episode released at once. This is, you know, still weekly, but it's still interesting. I like that. I'm glad that this is the kind of show that they've put enough faith into, because it is a little different from regular Star Wars shows, I guess. But of course, I'm also excited for Mandalorian season 3, and I guess in a similar vein to Andor, season 4 of Mandalorian is supposedly going to come pretty soon after season 3, so that'll be good. I think for episode 1, I'm going to give it a, let's say, 7 out of 10. For episode 2, I guess I'll give it a bit of an 8 out of 10. It gets more interesting and there's a bit more fighting and stuff. Then if episode 3, I'm also going to give an 8 out of 10 because it also becomes more interesting and has more fighting. Well, I hope you enjoyed this new review series that I'm going to start. I hope you go check this show out on Disney Plus. I definitely recommend it. I also hope you like, comment, and subscribe this video, the channel, and other future videos. And I hope that all of you have a good day and be good people.